Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Walhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulillahi wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in wa ba'd. So we're on hadith number 16. Halawat al-Iman. And halawa, it means sweetness. All right. We use this word in a hadith from the khutbah. Of course, some people don't know because they weren't here at the khutbah. Yeah. So we're not going to say any names. Just going to point them out without saying their names. All right. But this word was used in the hadith about the person the Muslim, the mu'min that recites the Quran and the mu'min that doesn't recite the Quran. Does anybody remember the hadith?
You remember, so I wasn't here.
The Sahabi of the hadith is who? No. He might have his own narration, but that's the narration that I mentioned. No. Abu Musa al-Ash'ari. He said, المؤمن الذي قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم المؤمن الذي مثل المؤمن الذي يقرأ القرآن كمثل what? Al-Uthruja. What do we say the Uthruja is? He said, no, don't look at him. He wasn't here. You were here, and you were here, and he was here. It's all three people. Don't look over here, these two. They weren't here. The Uthruja. It's a type of fruit. They call it, they translated it to, I think, citron or something like this. It's a fruit. It's like it's kind of like pear-shaped, and it's like, it can get like this, and it can get like bigger. It's a citrus fruit.
You said it smells good and it tastes good.
Yeah, it has a nice smell. ريحها طيب وطعمها طيب. You know, that it has a good smell and a good taste. And he said, وَمَثَلَ الْمُؤْمِنَ الَّذِي لَا يَقْرَأُ الْقُرْآنَ كَمَثَلِ التَّمْرَةِ. He said, and the believer that doesn't recite the Quran is like a date. He said, لَا رِيحَ لَهَا. It doesn't have any smell. وَطَعْمُهَا حُلْوٌ. All right, طَعْمُهَا حُلْوٌ. Like the taste is very, very sweet. So this is the adjective, حُلْوٌ. حُلْوٌ is what's sweet. This halawat al-iman, this is the masdar. So here we have the masdar halawa. Halawa, it means what? Sweetness. Hulwun, it means sweet. So halawat al-iman, it means that the iman has what? Sweetness. And that's what the Prophet ﷺ was talking about when he said, La riha laha wa ta'maha hulw. Because he has the asas of iman. He has that sweetness of iman in his heart. So here as we see halawat al-iman, and we're going to take this hadith.
So you said halawa, sweetness, and hul is sweet?
Sweet, yeah. So we're going to see this in the hadith right now. In Abi Hurairah radhiyallahu anhu. عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال ثلاث من كن فيه وجد حلاوة الإيمان. So he said three things. If they're found in a person, then he will discover and find the sweetness of iman. The sweetness of iman. And يكون الله ورسوله أحب إليه مما سواهما. And that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His Messenger are more beloved to Him than anybody else. مما سواهما, it means anybody else. Okay, so that means, of course, we talk about this over and over again, and I will probably reiterate this if I'm in Fresno for 20 years. I'll be saying this for 20 years. Love for somebody, it goes back to what? Obedience. If you love a person, you're obedient to the person. You love your parents, you're obedient to your parents. You love the Messenger, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you're obedient to the Messenger. You can't sit there and be disobedient to somebody and say that you love them. That's not love. That's kadhib. That's a lie. All right, so he said that, so here when he says that Allah and His Messenger are more beloved, that means that he places the rights that Allah has over him and the rights of the Messenger above the rights of what? Everybody else. And he places the obedience of Allah and the obedience of His Messenger over the obedience of everyone else. Even to the point that if his own parents, who he's commanded to obey, were to order him to disobey Allah or disobey the Messenger, is he going to obey his parents?
No.
Or is he going to obey Allah and His Messenger? All right, because لا طاعة لمخلوق في معصية الخالق. That there's no obedience to the creation and a disobedience to the Creator. All right, so that's that. All right, so these two are more beloved. So everything, the rights that they have over us, and their obedience is placed over the rights of our own rights. So before we even go around and argue about our rights and us being oppressed and this and this and this and this, the same thing. We have people, mashallah, these days because our Muslim brothers and sisters around, not just in Gaza, but I mean in different countries around the world, are being attacked and being killed. And the people have a right. They see this and they see sad because the kuffar are attacking our Muslim brothers and sisters and killing women, children, old men. Allah يدمر على أعدائه يدمر أعدائه أعداء الدين. Because the Yahud والنصارى والمنافقون هم أعداء الدين. These are the enemies of the religion. The Jews, the Christians, and the hypocrites. Of course, the Jews and the Christians, who do they use to cause all the problems with the Muslims? They use the hypocrites. They give them money, give them, we're going to help you out, we're going to support you, just do this and do this and do this. And that causes that sets the table for what you see today. So once the kuffar feel comfortable of entering into a Muslim land and killing people and bombing people, what does that mean? The hypocrites already did their job. They already set the table. Now the kuffar just need to come and eat at the table now. It's just ready for them. Everything's been prepared. But the thing is like you see that these Muslims, they get angry when they see what's going on in Gaza, right? But do they have the same anger now when they see shirk? When they see people doing walking around graves, making dua to people in graves, do they have that same anger? So when it comes to people, they get angry. But when it comes to the rights of Allah, like people are being oppressed, our Muslim brothers and sisters are being oppressed, and we should be angry. But we should have more anger and more agitation and more anger, like when the rights that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has over us are trampled upon, when people are committing shirk. And then we have the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, are these same people, when they go into the masjid and they see bid'ah going on in the masjid, maybe the people are celebrating the Prophet's birthday, or maybe they're just doing other types of bid'ah in the masjid. Do they have that same type of anger? So, the most important thing are the rights of Allah. You have the rights of Allah and obedience to Allah and His Messenger. And you're seeing the people go and change the sunnah of the Messenger right in front of you. But do you have that same anger? But your concern is, don't drink coffee from Starbucks. No, establish the sunnah. Teach the people the sunnah. Let's establish tawheed and get rid of shirk. Let's make this our primary goal. All the other stuff will start to come in line. All the nasr, the victory and the support and the aid from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it will fall in line if we're doing what we're supposed to be doing. If you really want to help the people in Gaza, and you want to help the people in any other country, in Yemen or any place where the Muslims are being oppressed and killed and slaughtered, help the Muslims by practicing the sunnah, by learning your deen, by calling the tawheed, because that's the only thing that's going to give us the victory. That's that love for Allah and His Messenger that precedes that, the love for anything else, even our own parents. So what about people that we don't even know in another country? Yes, there are Muslim brothers and sisters. But we should be more angry when people go against the sunnah, when people commit shirk, when people, call to something other than tawheed, when people are calling people to be like the kuffar and participate in elections and all this other stupidity and gay rights and all this garbage that they're calling the Muslims to. Where's the anger when this stuff is happening? There's no anger. So you see that selective rage amongst the people, because this is what social media tells them, this is what you should be angry about. So even they're following the kuffar even in their anger. And there's a kuffar. You ever see on social media when people are motivated to get angry about shirk? This is the biggest sin on the face of the earth. The biggest sin. The most, I was just talking, I mentioned this on Telegram the other day. We were talking about offensive because on YouTube, on one of my videos on YouTube, Kafir, he wrote in and said, you keep using this word kafir and it's so offensive. And I said, and so I put on Telegram, I said, well, this is a message to that kafir and to all the other kuffar, since you like the offensive nature of my words. You don't find associating a son with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala offensive, do you? Which is more offensive, calling a kafir, which is what Allah called him, or associating and saying that Allah had a son, or or Allah had a mother, or Allah, or Allah has daughters, because they say the angels are like Allah, I mean, which is more offensive? Yeah, exactly. So, no, the second one, yeah. I know what you meant. But the point is that we need to put things in the proper places. There's no wisdom. Everybody's getting angry about, like I said, we can go up in the masjid and say, hey, we're going to Starbucks. And you will watch an explosion from people. But then bid'ah and shirk could happen right in front of their faces. And they will say nothing. Say nothing. So what type of foolishness is this? This is not the deen. You want nasr, you want victory, go back to the sunnah. Call the people to tawheed. Go back and put this, like this first part, the first thing. We only got the one thing now. We haven't even mentioned the other two, right? But that one thing, people don't, is absent completely. That Allah and His Messenger are more beloved to that person than anybody else. And their obedience is the number one priority in our lives. We organize our lives around the deen, not the opposite. We don't try to fit the deen into our lives. Where our lives are like, well, I'm going to go off with my friends, I'm going to work here, I'm going to do this, and then, I'll pray here, and I'll do this here. No, it's the opposite. But the people, again, their priorities are all mixed up. The second one, he said, وَأَنْ يَحِبَّ الْمَرْأَ لَا يَحِبُّهُ إِلَّا لِلَّهِ. That he loves a man, or loves a person, or he doesn't love that person except for Allah. That his love for a person is based on what? It's based on deen. It's based on Quran and Sunnah, obedience to Allah. If I'm trying to be obedient to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then I'm going to love another person who's trying to do the same. How can I have love for a person that openly disobeys Allah and His Messenger? How can I have love for that person? If I have love for that person, then that means that my love for that person is what? It's material, it's dunya, it's not deen. This person is openly disobeying Allah and His Messenger. Even if I want good for the person, and I advise the person, and I talk to the person, yeah, come on, man, get in the masjid. We want good for you. I want good for him, but love for the person. And wanting to be around the person or in the company of the person when they're doing this type of disobedience, no. There's no way that you can have that love for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His Messenger in your heart, and at the same time have love for the people who disobey them. It's not even, you know what I'm saying? It's not ma'qul. It's, subhanAllah. If I, you could take a person, if we gave like a gang example, a super crip going out and having coffee every morning with the super blood, you'd be like, nah, man, it's not gonna happen. Well, okay, that's garbage, akhi. This is gang stuff. You know what I'm saying? This is like not even deen. This is dunya. This is even the lowest part of the dunya. What about the deen now? A Muslim now going out and having, fun or hanging out with people that are openly disobeying Allah and His Messenger. No. You advise them constantly in the nicest way to get the people back, because we want good for everybody. We want good for the Muslims. But hanging out with them when they're in that type of mode of disobedience, no. They want to come to the masjid, they want to sit in the classes, hey, ahla wa sahla. We'll hang out in obedience to Allah and His Messenger, but we're not going to hang out in the disobedience to Allah and His Messenger. All right, so he said, and the third thing, وَأَنْ يَكْرَهَ. This is a hard one for a lot of people, man. أَنْ يَكْرَهَ أَنْ يَعُودَ فِي الْكُفْرِ كَمَا يَكْرَهُ أَنْ يُقْذَفَ فِي النَّارِ. So now that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has pulled him out of disobedience and disbelief and all of this kufr and that He's pulled him out of it and given him Islam, that he would hate, despise returning back to that kufr, like he would hate and despise being tossed off into the fire. You understand? And that's in all aspects. It doesn't mean that you literally just go back to kufr. Not just this. I mean, it means that. But not just that. But that you still carry around the love for that stuff in your heart. And you still, like some people, I was speaking about this also on Telegram the other day, because I saw a post by a brother, an older brother. He's very old. I don't know if he's 40s, 50s. I don't know how old he is. And he was spelling the word. I ain't going to say the word because then the people might know who he was. But he spelled a word. It was supposed to be like, I'll just give you an example. Like I gave the example on Telegram, track. Track. He's 50 years old and he spells it Tracc. I'm like, Akhi, you've been a Muslim calling to the Quran and the Sunnah for the last 20 years and you still representing Crip stuff in your Facebook posts with a beard, with a thobe. It's like, come on, Akhi, you can't let that kufr go. You can't let it go. Nah, that stuff, like, we don't, once Allah has spared us from that, whatever it is, whatever lifestyle you lived, it doesn't have to be gangs, just kufr, period. Running around with girls, doing drugs, all the type of stuff that we used to do in the past. When Allah saves you from that, and you understand what would have happened to you if Allah left you in that life. What would have happened now if Allah did not spare you and you continued on in that lifestyle? You died from an overdose from drugs, or you got shot in the streets, or whatever happened that would have happens to people on a regular basis. What would have been your ending? Where are you going? Where do you expect to go if Allah did not save you from that? Yeah, of course. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَاعْتَصِمُوا بِحَبْلِ اللَّهِ جَمِيعًا وَلَا تَفَرَّقُوا وَاذْكُرُوا إِذْ كُنْتُمْ أَعْدَاءً فَأَلَّفَ بَيْنَ قُلُوبِكُمْ فَأَصْبَحْتُمْ بِنِعْمَتِهِ إِخْوَانًا وَكُنْتُمْ عَلَى شَفَاءِ حُفْرَةٍ مِنَ النَّارِ فَانْقَذَكُم مِّنْهَا كَذَلِكَ يُبَيِّنُ اللَّهُ لَكُمْ آيَاتِهِ لَعَلَّكُمْ تَهْتَدُونَ تَتَّقُونَ تَهْتَدُونَ. I got to review Surah Al Imran now. All right, so وَاعْتَصِمُوا بِحَبْلِ اللَّهِ, like hold tight to the rope of Allah. La ilaha illallah, Muhammadur Rasulullah. Hold tight to this, and just like you saw in the hadith where the Prophet ﷺ said, "Addu alayha bin nawajid." You know, bite down with your molar teeth. You know, bite down with your molar teeth on this, and hold tight to it. وَاعْتَصِمُوا بِحَبْلِ اللَّهِ جَمِيعًا, all together. We all come together on the Quran and the Sunnah, and we hold tight to this. وَلَا تَفَرَّقُوا, and don't differ amongst each other. Because whenever we have any differences between each other, it's not about my opinion, it's not about your opinion, or his opinion, her opinion, whoever's opinion. We take our differences back to what? Yeah, back to the Quran and the Sunnah, and we find our answers to our disputes in the Quran and the Sunnah. And then once we find out that this is the truth, it's upon all of us, whether we like it or not, to follow it and to accept it. You know, maybe we thought that our rights were being trampled on, or we were right, but then when we went back and we looked in the Quran and the Sunnah, we realized what? We weren't right. We have to accept that. We got to put the arrogance aside, the ego aside, everything to the side, and accept the truth. You know, he said, وَلَا تَفَرَّقُوا وَاذْكُرُوا, and then he said, remember. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling them, and he's speaking in this ayah to who?
The Sahaba.
No, specifically, who? Aus wa Khazraj, the two tribes of Medina, because they used to fight. They were always fighting in Jahiliyyah. They always had wars between each other. So he said, وَاذْكُرُوا إِذْ كُنْتُمْ أَعْدَاءً, and remember when you used to be enemies, fighting each other. وَكُنْتُمْ أَعْدَاءً فَأَلَّفَ بَيْنَ قُلُوبِكُم, and now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brought your hearts together. He brought your hearts together. Well, now the messenger's amongst you. Now your obedience is to Allah and His messenger. Now you've all come together. So don't revert back to what? To what you get. Don't go back to that jahiliyyah that you had before. That hatred. My tribe this and my tribe that. What does that sound like? As people still carrying that jahiliyyah with them. Still carrying it with them. Even up until now. You know, can't wear a red shirt, can't wear a blue shirt because he's 50 years old and he still can't let that stuff go. You know, still can't let that stuff go. You know, Allah musta'an. So, you know, وَاذْكُرُوا إِذْ كُنْتُمْ أَعْدَاءً فَأَلَّفَ بَيْنَ قُلُوبِكُمْ وَأَصْبَحْتُمْ بِنِعْمَتِهِ إِخْوَانًا, and you became, by the blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you became brothers. Allah brought all of us together as brothers, trying to follow the Quran and the Sunnah. It's a huge blessing. We'd never know each other. I would never be out in Fresno if it wasn't for Islam, and we would probably never know each other. None of us. I mean, look at all the people that we have here, just sitting right here in this class, that would never, in any other circumstances, be together. A white guy, an Arab guy, a black guy, a Mexican guy, a half and halfer. Like, I don't know, because my son is like 1/3 this, 1/3 that, 1/3 that. Like, look at this, and we're all sitting together studying the religion of Allah. Is that not the hugest blessing? Yeah, nobody else can bring people together the way that this deen can bring. So be thankful for that blessing. You know, that's a huge blessing. Be thankful for it. So he said, and he said, فَأَلَّفَ بَيْنَ قُلُوبِكُمْ فَأَصْبَحْتُمْ بِنِعْمَتِهِ إِخْوَانًا وَكُنْتُمْ عَلَى شَفَاء حُفْرَةٍ مِنَ النَّارِ. That you were on a cliff, hanging over like a pit of fire. Because you're in Jahiliyyah, you're in Kufr, you're in Shirk, you're in disobedience to Allah. And here you are about to fall off into this cliff, to this pit of fire. فَأَنْقَذَكُمْ مِنْهَا. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saved you, pulled you out from that. If Allah pulled you out from that, then why would you go back? And how do you justify showing the thankfulness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for sparing you and saving you from that life, from your own destruction? You understand? You were driving yourself to your own destruction, to your own death, to your own hellfire. You were driving yourself to it. And Allah saved you. Allah made you put the brake, He put the brakes on for you. It pulled you out of that. And this is how you're going to show the thanks now, by still carrying love for that Allah, the lifestyle that Allah saved you from. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense, and that's not thankfulness. If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saved you and spared you, let the stuff go. Let it go. So that's a whole old life. Khalas, let it go. If you like that life so much, go back to it and see how much benefit that you're going to find in that life. See how much the people on the streets are going to teach you. See how they're going to help you to get into Jannah. And see how much good advice that they're going to give you if you really enjoy that life so much. But if you know that Islam is the truth, then you would be absent-minded and have no mind at all, basically, if you know that Islam is the truth, but then you still have love for something. For what? How many of us have been locked up before? All of us, basically, right? I don't know, Yusuf?
Detention count?
Huh?
Detention count?
No. But when you were locked up, all those homeboys out on the street, how many of them were writing you letters, accepting phone calls, and coming to visit you, and all this stuff? All the people that you got in trouble for, fighting for, defending, and doing all that. How many of them ever showed you love? Exactly. I think we all went through the same thing. Jail is lonely because you start to get abandoned. And that's why you start to see people getting attitudes and they want to fight because the girls abandon them, the friends abandon them. The only one that never abandoned me, for the mother. Mother was there every Thursday on visitation, every Thursday. She'd go to the prison to visit her husband, who had 21 years in prison, and she'd come to me and visit me. Every weekend she's over there, every Thursday she's with me. So you see that. But yet we want to show loyalty to a lifestyle of people that never showed us loyalty. Now Allah is giving you a blessing, giving you Islam. Be loyal to that. You really want a blessing to be loyal to? Be loyal to this blessing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is giving you and hold on to it and don't let it go. Don't let nothing come between you and this blessing. Nothing. Don't let a woman come between you and this blessing. If a woman is trying to get you away from Allah and His Messenger and obedience to it, Ma salama, go back to your parents' house. I ain't got time for you. If friends are trying to take you away from Allah and His Messenger, go on about your business. Don't need friends like that. Nobody. Just hold on to this blessing with all your might and defend this with your life. If it means that you die defending this blessing, alhamdulillah, that's a beautiful death. You're going to die defending a street that you don't even own, along Stein that you live on, and at any time you don't pay taxes on the land, and the bank can come and even take your house, so you don't even own that either. You understand? Go sit there and see how much you own in this world, in America. Don't pay your taxes on the land, and let's see how much you own. You own nothing. You own nothing. But you're ready to fight and die over that, right? No, we're ready to live for this blessing. We're ready to live for this blessing. And that's why, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when He talked about what the Prophet, لِمَا يُحْيِيكُمْ, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is calling you to what? لِمَا يُحْيِيكُمْ, which brings you life.
Gives you life to your nafs.
Yeah, it gives you life. You weren't living, akhi. When you're out on the streets running around like a chicken with his head cut off, going here, going there, trying to find ways to disobey Allah, that's not life. Amwatun ghayra ahya. They're dead. They're not living. Allah gave you life now. He gave you Islam. That's the life of the heart. Don't kill it. And then you want to go back to just being like a zombie again. Man, protect this blessing with everything that you got. Everything that you, and don't let anybody stand between you and this blessing. Nobody. You want to fight over something, that's worth fighting for. And that's worth dying for. Time. إلهنا سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك